Всем привет, всем здравствуйте, с вами снова Лау. И мы продолжаем играть в Fallout New Vegas. И нам надо таки решить судьбу Бенни. И раз нам не дают его никак освободить, не убив при этом весь легион, то я его вызову на дуэль, на арену. Попробуем так. Когда-то Бенни так уже победил. В этот раз побежденным будет он.
So, baby, what did you find down there?
Мы будем драться на арене, честно и благородно.
Machetes at 20 paces, hey? I accept your challenge.
Приступим.
You're a class act, baby. Not to say I'm gonna make it easy for you.
У меня, правда, навык без оружия не особо развит, но я надеюсь, выживу.
Okay.
Эх, жаль, мне не дали мою катану.
Come on! Come on!
Вот-то, что это меня... Оставили совсем в одних труселях. А память возьму.
Some of the...
What do you need from me? Go.
Пойду поговорю. Еще раз с Цезарем. Пока так и не могу решить, кого же выбрать. Точно не Легион, это 100%. НКР, Хаус или ЕСВМ. А точнее, я сама.
I'm sure you found Benny's demise pleasing. The destruction of an enemy? There are few things more satisfying. Let's press on, shall we? As I was telling you before, I want Mr. House out of the picture. You have an interest in his death, too. If he knows that you destroyed his gadgets beneath the fort, he will strike back. You know where to find him. How he dies, I leave up to you.
У меня есть пара вопросов.
What did you want to know?
Твои телохранители какие-то особенные?
My Praetorians embody the martial ideals of my legion. Each one of them has done enough conquering and killing to deserve the rank of Centurion. Instead, I invited them to join my guard. So the invitee chooses whichever current guard he thinks is weakest and challenges him. The fight is to the death. It keeps them from getting complacent.
Как давно Люций командует претарианцами?
Lucius has been the head of my guard for 5 years now. He was a subordinate guard for 8 before that. No invitee has dared to challenge him yet. Maybe it's an issue of respect. He is getting on in years. What else?
Расскажи мне о Вульпесе Инкульте. Ух ты, имечко.
Wulpes is the best of my frumentari, a remarkable individual from an unremarkable tribe south of the Utah. He was brought into the Legion as a boy, survived training, fought well enough as a legionary to be promoted to the rank of decanus. Then in battle against an unimportant tribe, He broke ranks and led his contubernium through a hole in their defenses to capture its chieftain. Well, his Kenturian wanted him crucified for disobedience, so I made him a frumentari.
А чем занимается фрументарий?
Whatever I require. Infiltration, assassination, dramatic atrocities to break the spirit of the enemy, etc. They're mentally flexible. They operate behind enemy lines for extended periods, imitating the enemy's customs without becoming sullied. In all these things, Wolfus is a master.
До меня дошли слухи о твоем легате. Лани, расскажи мне о нем.
Linnaeus is the greatest of my battlefield commanders. Some might call him a great man, but I'm not sure he qualifies. Once, he was the greatest warrior of the Hydebarks, a tribe of the Arizona. Maniacal in battle. Sometimes he'd ambush Legion patrols by himself. When after several months we found and surrounded the Hydebarks camp, their chieftain raised a banner of surrender. The warrior, who was not yet Linnaeus, went insane with rage. He struck down his chieftain and attacked his own tribe.
И что случилось, когда он напал на собственное племя?
He killed 15 before they brought him down. He didn't die, obviously. I had him tended to. He was maimed, most of his face torn off. It was days before he regained consciousness. When he did, I went to his bedside and showed him the helmet I'd had forged to cover his face. I said he could have it if he'd fight for me. He accepted, on condition...
Так, мигал свет. Продолжаем. Где-то здесь он мигнул.
Linnaeus is the greatest of my
Чуть-чуть, по-моему,
battlefield
дальше.
commanders. Some might call him a great man, but I'm not. Once, he was the greatest
Это,
When
по-моему,
after several
было.
months we found and the warrior who was not yet Linnaeus went insane.
Вот это, наверное.
He killed. I had him 10. When he did, he accepted,
Вот,
on
по-моему, вот это.
condition that he be allowed to kill the surviving males of his tribe. I said, make it the adult males, and you have a deal.
Он больше похож на дикаря, чем на полководца.
Linnaeus is savage. Savagely loyal, too, but only to me. He has no love for my legion. But this has its uses. He has no attachment to his men, no compunction about battlefield losses. All he cares about is destroying the enemy. When another legatus or a centurion fails to achieve results, I send Linnaeus to make things right. His first step is to beat the failed commander to death in front of his assembled troops. Then he orders the ritual of decimatio.
Что такое децимация?
It means decimation. But in ancient Rome, the word had a very specific meaning. A punishment for cowardice. The legionaries are lined up in ranks. Every 10th man steps forward and is beaten to death by his brothers. It instills a certain robust obedience.
Ланни возглавит атаку на дамбу Гувера.
Yes. This time my legionaries will be more frightened of the commander behind them than the enemy before them. There will be no failure this time, no retreat, no years of gathering slaves and resources for another assault. With Linnaeus to drive the legion forward, the dam will be taken. It will be our bridgehead across the Colorado.
Почему легион проиграл первый бой?
It's not going to happen again. That's all I have to say about it.
Ну, как он сказал это? Говорят, что в первом сражении солдатами командовал некто Горелый.
And I've heard it's a bad idea to tempt the wrath of Caesar. Change the subject.
Не нравится ему об этом говорить. Как вы поймали Бенни?
I'll hand it to that piece of shit. He was determined. He used some kind of old-world stealth device to get across the river in a Legion boat. Seems the device ran out of juice once he got here, but he was dressed like a legionary. He was caught just outside the weather station. See, thing is, he didn't change his hairstyle. To go to all that effort and fail because you're too vain to mush your hair.
Это забавно. Что случилось, когда Бенни поймали?
He was brought before me along with the platinum chip. That's how I knew he wasn't some kind of profligate infiltrator. Benny tried to sell me a story, but Lucius has a way of coaxing the truth out of captives. Everything just comes spilling out.
После, небось, пыток. Что ты знаешь об НКР?
Do you want my opinion as a former citizen or future conqueror? Actually, my opinion's the same either way. As a young man, I was taught to venerate President Tandy of Shady Sands, the founding mother of the new California Republic. Did you know her presidency lasted 52 years? And that her father, Aradesh, was the Republic's first president? Does that sound like a democracy to you? Or a hereditary dictatorship?
Президента Танди всегда избирали.
Because the council didn't dare oppose her. She was too popular. She had the people's love. So things ran smoothly, more or less. And as soon as she was gone, as soon as there really could be democracy, what happened then? Ever since losing its queen, the NCR has been weaker, more diffuse. Democracy has been its weakness, not its strength.
Почему ты считаешь НКР слабой?
Greed runs rampant. The government is corrupt, accepting bribes from Brahmin barons and landowners to the detriment of citizens. The NCR is a loose conglomerate of individuals looking out for themselves. It's lost virtue. No one cares about the collective, the greater good. It's not built to last. I'm just hastening the inevitable.
Но ведь НКР опасный противник.
Of course. The most powerful my legion has faced. Also the first to which I am ideologically opposed. Until now, every tribe I've conquered has been so backwards and stunted, enslavement has been a gift bestowed upon them. My conquest of the Mojave will be a glorious triumph, marking the transition of the Legion from a basically nomadic tribe to a genuine empire. Just as my namesake campaigned in Gaul before he crossed the Rubicon, so have I campaigned and will cross the Colorado.
Я тебе не позволю.
What else did you want to know?
Что ты знаешь о мистере Хаусе?
I know he's a coward, hiding behind an army of robots ensconced in that tower of his like a wizard in one of those Grognak comic books. Some say he's a man, others a machine. I don't care. He's in the way.
Он скорее мумия.
What?
Какую роль в войне будут играть местные сообщества?
I've analyzed the region's tribe to determine how they might be useful. I may tell you more at a later time, if it suits me.
Как ты добился власти?
Ironically, I was born a profligate myself, a citizen of the NCR.
Да, забавно.
My family lived not far from the Great Boneyard. After raiders killed my father, my mother sought the followers' protection.
Последователи
I
апокалипсиса.
was 2 years old. She found work at their library, cooking and cleaning. I learned how to read, and soon I was taking courses, free of charge.
Так ты был последователем апокалипсиса?
Oh yes, raised in that tradition. And the teaching stuck. I was taught it was my responsibility to bring the torch of knowledge to the
Ну да, он
waste.
по-своему это понимает.
I may have taken the torch part more literally than they intended.
Как ты, если последователя, стал диктатором?
When I was 20, the followers sent me east to Grand Canyon. It was my first expedition. Just me and a physician named Calhoun. As an anthropologist and linguist, my assignment was to learn the dialects of the Grand Canyon tribes. What a fucking waste of time.
А почему нет смысла изучать диалекты?
If you think it's worthwhile to make smart people learn how to talk like backward savages, you're a follower of the apocalypse, or an idiot. Anyway, we met up with a Mormon missionary who already knew a bunch of dialects, Joshua Graham. He was supposed to teach me,
Назвал
but
его
before
имя.
that went too far, the Blackfoot tribe captured us to hold us for ransom. They were a backward bunch, but the real problem was they didn't know how to fight.
В чем была проблема с черноногами?
The Blackfoot were at war with 7 other tribes, each just as pissant as they were. But outnumbered like that, they weren't going to last long. It's one thing to be taken hostage, another to be lashed to a sinking ship. So over Calhoun's objections, I decided to take certain steps.
И что же ты сделал?
I taught them how to use the guns they already had, how to strip and clean them, how to breathe when pulling a trigger, how to reload ammunition. They looked at me like I was some kind of a sorcerer. So I taught them how to make explosives and started drilling them on small unit tactics. If there's anything I learned as a follower of the apocalypse, it's that there's a lot of good information in old books.
И что случилось, когда ты обучил черноногов?
Divide et impera, divide and conquer. I led the Blackfoot against the Ridgers, their weakest enemy. When they refused to surrender, I ordered every man, woman, and child killed. When next we surrounded the Kaibabs, and they likewise refused, I took one of their envoys to the Ridgers' village and showed him the corpse piles. This was new for the tribes, you see. They played at war, raiding each other, a little rape and pillage here, a little ransoming there. I showed them total warfare. Like I said, there's a lot you can learn from old books.
И что было дальше с племенами?
Kaibabs joined me, and the Fredonians after that. All the pissant tribes with names that should be forgotten. I knew from the start I'd need to eradicate this plague of tribal identities, replacing them with a monolithic culture, a uniform identity. So that's what I did once my confederation of tribes was large enough. I crowned myself Caesar and created a single great tribe, my legion. I sent Calhoun, the follower captured with me back west, with a message that I should not be interfered with. Joshua Graham, the Mormon interpreter, stayed with me and served as my first legatus.
То есть, создав легион, ты только и делаешь, что завоевываешь новые племена.
That's right. Decades of warfare, absorbing lesser tribes, gathering power, forging the dross into a vast, razor-sharp scythe. My legion's expansion has never ceased. Much of the Utah and Colorado and all of Arizona and New Mexico are mine. We have cities of our own, but nothing compared to Vegas. Finally, my legion will have its Rome.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you want to know?
Почему легион Цезаря такой странный?
I used Imperial Rome as the model for my legion precisely because it was so foreign, so alien. I'd seen what had become of the NCR's attempts to emulate the culture of pre-war America, the infighting, the corruption. Rome was a highly militarized autocracy that effectively integrated the foreign cultures it conquered. It dedicated its citizens to something higher than themselves, to the idea of Rome itself. In Rome, I found a template for a society equal to the challenges of the post-apocalyptic world, a society that could and would survive, a society that could prevent mankind from fracturing and destroying itself in this new world by establishing a new Pax Romana.
Что такое Пакс Романа?
It means a nationalist, imperialist, totalitarian, homogenous culture that obliterates the identity of every group it conquers. Long-term stability at all cost. The individual has no value beyond his utility to the state, whether as an instrument of war or production.
Так ты хочешь уничтожить НКР, потому что ненавидишь ее недостатки?
No. I'll destroy it because it's inevitable that it be destroyed. It's Hegelian dialectics, not personal animosity.
Диалектика Гегеля, а это еще что?
How do I put this basically enough? It's a philosophical theory, the kind you might encounter if you took time to read some books. The fundamental premise is to envision history as a sequence of dialectical conflicts. Each dialectic begins with a proposition, a thesis, which inherently contains or creates its opposite, an antithesis. Thesis and antithesis. The conflict is inevitable, but the resolution of the conflict yields something new, a synthesis, eliminating the flaws in each, leaving behind common elements and ideas.
Так в чем диалектика между тобой и НКР?
The bombs wiped the slate clean. Human civilization descended to a level of ignorance that effectively set our cultural progress back to zero. The NCR has all the problems of the ancient Roman Republic. Extreme bureaucracy, corruption, extensive senatorial infighting. Just as with the ancient Republic, it is natural that a military force should conquer and transform the NCR into a military dictatorship. Thesis and antithesis. The Colorado River is my Rubicon. The NCR Council will be eradicated. But the new synthesis will change the Legion as well. From a basically nomadic army to a standing military force that protects its citizens and the power of its dictator. What else did you want to know?
Ой, да уж. Что это у тебя за устройство в палатке?
It's called an auto-doc. As the name suggests, it's an automated physician, more or less. He can treat broken bones, cuts, punctures, scrapes. Sometimes I bestow its use upon someone I favor. Makes for a powerful gift in a culture that forbids painkillers and is largely ignorant of medical science.
До свидания.
Complete your mission, then return to me.
Говорит, что я убью мистера Хауса, я не собираюсь. Так, хорошо. Цезарь говорит, убей мистера Хауса. Джокер, Yes Man, говорит, убейте мистера Хауса. Давайте пойдем к мистеру Хаусу. Узнаем, что он нам скажет. С легионом все, я больше не собираюсь, получается, ничего больше иметь. У меня квестов от них второстепенных нет. Ну и в дальнейшем я, пожалуй, могу вполне с ними ссориться. Так что могу взять Буна и выполнить его квест. Так и сделаю. Только сначала зайду к Хаусу. Это все равно по дороге.
Awe, are you ready to return to Cottonwood Cove?
Да. Так. Что хочется и пить, и есть. Поэтому, наверное, сначала Буна заберу, заодно поем.
Where to, partner?
Так. Вероника.
You know, I've been thinking. The real problem with the Brotherhood is that we isolate ourselves. Our training is top-notch, our technology gives us an advantage, but when it all comes down to it, we're losing because we shun the outside world. We always make enemies, never allies. We refuse to recruit outsiders or see the value in their simpler technologies.
Нам мне сейчас, что ли, предложат квест? А почему ты это не изменишь?
I don't know. I'm still thinking about what kind of role we could take on that would give us the best chance of survival. But I think things are starting to come together. I know the odds aren't good, but I gotta try. I can't lose them.
Только не надо. Ух, думала, сейчас будет квест от нее. Просто я уже намылилась на основной. Ну, сначала с Буном разделаться. Ты можешь мне что-нибудь рассказать про платиновую фишку?
Yeah, it's not for poker. I've never seen anything quite like it, but I can tell you it looks like it was fabricated before the war, and not at a mint. Some kind of tech. I'm gonna say mid-2200s. Hold on to it. Might be your lucky chip.
Так, давай.
Nice. Can I order room service?
Бун, 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 бун.
If there's one thing I won't tolerate, it's working with some dog of the Legion. You've got some explaining to do.
Я пытаюсь проникнуть в их организацию. Мне нужно как-то завоевать их доверие.
If you want me to stick around, that ends now. I don't care what the reasons are. I will not help the Legion. Ever. Got it?
Хорошо, я даю тебе слово.
All right. But we better not have to have this talk again.
На шапку свою
What's up?
посмотри.
Is it time?
Так, надо... Поесть. А я все еще хочу кушать. О, вот стейк. Стейк то, что надо. Все, идем там к мистеру Хаусу. Давай меня в пентхаус. Посмотрим, что от меня захочет Хаус.
I take it you've come to deliver the platinum chip?
У меня сперва есть пара вопросов.
I'll be happy to satisfy your every curiosity once the platinum chip has been delivered.
Ну, допустим, отдать платиновую фишку мистеру Хаусу.
Such a small thing, isn't it? And yet so capacious, so very dear. Decades of hiring salvagers out west to search for this little relic in the ruins of a place called Sunnyvale. Back then, anyway. That's where the chip was printed, on October 22nd, 2077. It was to have been hand-delivered to me here at the Lucky 38 the next day. But the bombs fell first. Suffice it to say, the delivery was never made.
Пока никаких провалов. Что, собственно, делает фишка?
Yes, so far as you've seen, all it does is change the picture on the Securitron's face screens from policemen to soldiers. But as you'll see, some things are more easily shown than told. Take the elevator all the way down to the bottom level, and you'll see what I mean. Don't worry, you'll like what you see. We have much to accomplish, you and I. Step closer to the demonstration area, if you would. I expect you're well familiar with my Securitrons by now. The titanium alloy housing that protects its electronic core deflects small arms and shrapnel easily enough. Its X-25 Gatling laser, produced to spec by Glassinghouse Inc., is deadly against soft targets at medium range. And for close-range suppression or crowd control, the Securitron is armed with a 9mm submachine gun. All of this you probably already knew. What you did not know is that these are the Securitron's secondary weapons. All this time, my Securitrons have had to get by running the Mark I operating system, which lacked software drivers for their primary weapons. Today, with the delivery of the Platinum chip, all that changes. Behold, for the first time, Securitrons running the Mark II OS. The M235 missile launcher gives the Securitron the ability to engage ground and air targets at significantly longer ranges. And a rapid-fire G-28 grenade launcher ensures the Securitron is deadly in close-range engagements. The software upgrade also includes drivers for the Securitron's highly sophisticated on-board auto-repair systems. Altogether, the Mark II software upgrade confers a 235% increase in combat effectiveness per unit. The city of New Vegas finally has soldiers worthy of protecting it. Return to the penthouse now. We have much to discuss.
Не дают мне тут походить.
Trips to the basement are rarely so educational, don't you think? I've since broadcast the upgrade to every Securitron in range of my transmitters, and I must say, it's causing quite a stir down on the strip.
Так, а ну-ка посмотрим, что там у нас. Пока провалов никаких, ничего. Зачем так раскрывать карты? Теперь враги знают о твоих планах.
I'm surprised you can still underestimate me after everything you've seen. I haven't shown my hand. I've shown one card. I've given my enemies a single provocative datum upon which to fixate. They have no idea what other cards I'm holding. It's a strong hand, believe me. I dealt it to myself.
Думаешь, твои секьюритроны смогут одолеть Легион, Цезаря и НКР?
Why would I want to go to war against the NCR? They're my best customers. If their leaders weren't scheming to steal Vegas out from under me, I'd have no troubles with the NCR at all. The foundation is laid. My Securitrons on the strip are upgraded, and those at the fort ready for action. Now it's just a matter of adjusting the attitudes of some lesser groups while we wait for Caesar's Legion to attack Hoover Dam.
Так, я хочу задать пару вопросов.
What did you want to discuss?
Странно, что ты не спрашиваешь о судьбе Бенни.
That's because he ceased to be relevant when you recovered the platinum chip. Revenge doesn't interest me. Progress does. Sorry to deny you a moment of primate triumph, but you'll have to go elsewhere to sound your barbaric yawp. What else did you want to discuss?
Как НКР будет защищать дамбу Гувера?
General Oliver's strategy, or tunnel vision, as I like to call it, has been to mass troops at Hoover Dam. He wants to outfight the Legion in a straightforward slugging match, and then, when they rout, pursue and destroy them in detail. A crushing, decisive victory of this sort would overshadow the tactical ingenuity of Chief Hanlon's defense 4 years ago, you see.
Каков твой план битвы за дамбу?
A good deal should be obvious to you by now. I won't spoil the rest by talking out of turn.
Так.
What else did you want to discuss?
Тебе известно, что мне пришлось убить нескольких из белой перчатки? Они поедали клиентов.
Cannibalism was strictly forbidden in their contract. If some of them broke that stricture, they deserved whatever punishment you dealt them. What else did you want to discuss?
Ты знаешь, что белые перчатки раньше были людоедами?
Yes, of course. But refraining from those dietary practices is a primary requirement of their contract. They've been good to their work.
Вообще странно, что и там был такой вопрос после предыдущей фразы.
I'd want to eat at the Gourmand every night, if I were ambulatory. What else did you want to discuss?
Про устройство слежения я говорить не буду. А зачем тебе коллекция снежных шаров?
What of it? I enjoy them. There's something about a little diorama set inside a glass dome that I find pleasing. If you run across any out in the wastes, turn them in to Jane. She'll compensate you. What else did you want to discuss?
Нравится. Откуда Нью-Вегас берет электричество?
Hoover Dam, of course. A hydroelectric dam. The NCR had it up and running at 50% capacity within a year of occupying the dam. By treaty, New Vegas receives 5% of its output. More than enough. What else did you want to discuss?
Каким был Вегас до войны?
It was a place of splendor. As magnificent as today's strip may seem, it's but a shadow of the neon paradise that was Las Vegas. I grew up not far from here, and though I traveled the old world extensively, I never found another place like it.
Ты говоришь, что спас Лас-Вегас? Как?
By 2065, I deemed it a mathematical certainty that an atomic war would devastate the Earth within 15 years. Every projection I ran confirmed it. I knew I couldn't save the world, nor did I care to, but I could save Vegas, and in the process, perhaps save mankind. I set to work immediately. I thought I had plenty of time to prepare. As it turned out, I was 20 hours short.
Какие меры ты принял для спасения Лас-Вегаса?
On the day of the Great War, 77 atomic warheads targeted Las Vegas and its surrounding areas. My networked mainframes were able to predict and force transmit disarm code subsets to 59 warheads, neutralizing them before impact. Laser cannons mounted on the roof of the Lucky 38 destroyed another 9 warheads. The rest got through, though none hit the city itself. A suboptimal performance, admittedly. If only the platinum chip had arrived a day sooner.
А почему платиновая фишка не прибыла вовремя?
The platinum chip was printed in Sunnyvale, California on October 22nd, 2077, the day before the Great War. It was to have been delivered by courier the following afternoon, but by then, the world had ended. The chip contained vital software upgrades, but not just for my Securitrons. Every aspect of the missile defense grid would have been upgraded too. Given that I had to make do with buggy software, the outcome could have been worse. I nearly died as it was.
Как ты чуть не погиб, защищая Вегас?
Software glitches set off a cascade of system crashes. I had to take the Lucky 38's reactor offline, lest it melt down. For nearly 5 years, I battled power outages and more system crashes until I finally managed to reboot my data core with an older version of the OS. I spent the next few decades in a veritable coma, but I survived, obviously, and eventually thrived. What else did you want to discuss?
Каковы твои планы на Нью-Вегас?
I've resurrected Vegas, spirit intact. What I need now is the ability to enforce my rightful claim. Not just against Caesar's Legion, by the way. In fact, the NCR is a more present and insidious threat.
Как ты планируешь отстоять свое право на город?
To enforce, one must have force, a position of strength. Years ago, when I detected NCR scouts roaming the Mojave, I could tell from their uniforms that these were no mere tribesmen. I knew it was only a matter of time before an army appeared to take control of the dam, and I knew my Securitrons wouldn't be enough to oppose them. And so I recruited the 3 families. Vegas belongs to me because I mustered enough strength to bring the NCR to the bargaining table.
Разве армия НКР была недостаточно сильна, чтобы одолеть твоих секьюритронов и 3 семьи?
Indeed it was, and still is, but not without taking significant casualties. Would Kimball and Oliver have traded the lives of hundreds of soldiers for absolute control of Hoover Dam? Oh, yes. They weren't afraid of me. They were afraid of Caesar, that attacking me would leave them vulnerable to a Legion offensive. And so they negotiated, not out of the kindness of their hearts, as they try to make it seem, because the calculus of power left no other choice.
Каковы были условия договора с НКР?
NCR forces were permitted to occupy Hoover Dam and establish a military base at McCarran Airport. Well, it used to be one. They recognized my sovereignty over the Vegas Strip and agreed to supply electricity and water once their engineers repaired the dam. Written into the treaty were provisions that the NCR do nothing to prevent its soldiers and civilians from visiting the Strip. That's how I harnessed the NCR to my endeavor. Their occupation has been the engine of my growing economy.
Ты собираешься воевать с НКР?
The salient issue is that they will go to war with me if given the chance. There's just one reason why the NCR hasn't contrived some outrage to justify invading the Strip. Caesar's Legion. The final battle between those 2 armies is fast approaching. I can't afford to let either side win on their terms. What else did you want to discuss?
Допустим, Нью-Вегас останется за тобой. Что будет дальше? Опять это?
New Vegas is more than a city. It's the remedy to mankind's derailment. The city's economy is a blast furnace in which can be forged the steel of a new rail line running straight to a new horizon. What is the NCR? A society of people desperate to experience comfort, ease, luxury. A society of customers. With all that money pouring in, give me 20 years and I'll reignite the high technology development sectors. 50 years and I'll have people in orbit. 100 years and my colony ships will be heading for the stars to search for planets unpolluted by the wrath and folly of a bygone generation.
А пока ты будешь править Вегасом как какой-то диктатор?
I prefer the term autocrat. I would rule as a chief executive. I would not answer to a board of directors or any other entity. Nothing to impede progress. If you want to see the fate of democracies, look out the windows.
Что удержит тебя от злоупотребления властью?
My judgment. I have no interest in abusing others, just as I have no interest in legislating or otherwise dictating what people do in their private time. Nor have I any interest in being worshipped as some kind of machine god messiah. I am impervious to such corrupting ambitions. But autocracy? Firm control in the hands of a technological and economic visionary? Yes, that
Ну, в
Vegas shall
принципе...
have. What else did you want to discuss?
В принципе. Говорит он довольно складно. Но насколько слова будут с действиями разделяться, это уже другой вопрос. В принципе, можно было бы сыграть ему на руку и пойти за него. Точно не Цезарь. Точно не Цезарь. Ладно, до свидания.
Goodbye.
Так вот, точно не Цезарь. У меня стоит вопрос. Или я, то есть Yes Man, да, с помощью Yes Man. Или Хаус. Или НКР. Кого же выбрать? А пока рассказывайте при первом прохождении, кого выбрали вы. Любопытно. Кто кого выбирает при первом прохождении? Так, давайте посмотрим. Задание. По-моему, если я иду за республику, часть 2, то говорю с полковником Мур, от меня только легион отказывается. Но это я переживу, потому что я больше с ними дел никаких иметь не собираюсь. Так, подождите, а что, все? Он больше мне не дал никаких заданий?
The next step is to add the boomers' considerable firepower to my growing arsenal, or at the very least, ensure their neutrality.
Бомбисты уже поклялись мне помочь.
Well done. The boomers' firepower may prove an advantage when the battle for Hoover Dam comes around. Your next assignment would have been to investigate the Omertas, but you managed to foil their scheme before I could put you to the task. I should compensate you as though it were an official assignment, however. Wouldn't want to disincentivize your proactivity.
Хорошо, что мы вовремя остановили Омерту.
Indeed. Moving on. Your next assignment is to locate and destroy remnants of the Mojave chapter.
Уничтожить братство стали?
The NCR nearly did the job at Helios 1 a few years ago, but there seemed to have been
Нет, этого я
survivors,
делать не буду.
unfortunately. Given the Brotherhood's fanatical views on technology, they can be counted on to oppose my regime. Please, put them out of my misery.
Ну, на этом... А можно решить вопрос дипломатическим путем?
We're talking about a coterie of bulging-eyed fanatics who think all pre-war technology belongs to them. They'll never accept my using an army of robots to defend New Vegas. While it's a fight I can win, I'd rather sidestep it altogether.
Я не хочу уничтожать все братство.
Don't tell me you've fallen for the stories of noble paladins on crusade, preserving mankind's technology in a benighted age? Dross. In any case, this is an employer-employee relationship. I've given you an assignment, and the directions are clear.
Ну, Хаус, это была твоя ошибка. Я не пойду против братства Стали. И на этом моменте наши с тобой пути расходятся. Если бы не было этого пункта уничтожения полного братства Стали, я бы, возможно, стала бы ему помогать в битве за дамбу. А так? Не буду. Ну ладно, с чего мне начать?
Since 2278, I've lost 5 roaming Securitrons near Hidden Valley. I didn't receive any clear video of the incident, but telemetry from the units destroyed indicates they were attacked with energy weapons. It's obvious that the Brotherhood has a base in Hidden Valley or thereabouts. Finding it won't be easy, but getting inside will be the real trick.
Ты можешь посоветовать, как мне лучше выполнить это задание?
From time to time, the NCR has assaulted Brotherhood bunkers. In 4 of the 6 incidents I know of, the bunkers self-destructed. I surmise it's standard practice for the Brotherhood to install a self-destruct system. It's consistent with their uncompromising nature. You might use that against them, or kill them another way, it's up to you. Return when it's done.
Ну все. В полоску немного белого, немного черного. Люди еще вас не оценили. Задание провалено, милость Цезаря. Ну, досвидос, Цезарь. Берегись гнева Цезаря. Это мне тоже не страшно. Наемник Цезаря, мне это тоже не страшно. Кесарю Кесарева аналогично тоже. С НКР пока. НКР на меня пока не в обиде. Хорошо. Это радует. Так, а где... А где Виктор? Нет, не туда. А где Бун? Вот вы.
I've got your back.
Well, howdy, partner. Good to see you again.
Так. Следуй за мной. Следуй за мной. Так, давай, Бун, идем выполнять твое. Мы не будем этого, да, уничтожать братство Стали. Значит, казино мы не доделываем. С этим разобрались, легионом тоже отмели. Убейте или устраните мистера Хауса. Блин, ну мне это тоже не нравится. Но во всяком случае это более приемлемо, чем уничтожать братство Стали. Но мы сначала узнаем, что там за республику. А пока разберемся здесь. Так, мне надо распределить оружие обратно. Пять. Так, 6 мы что поставим? На шестерку винтовку. На семерку. И на восьмерку катану. Так, а ну-ка давайте проверять. У меня такое ощущение, что какое-то оружие у меня нет. Лэр. А, нет, есть. Вот же он. Ладно, хорошо. Хорошо, идем, Бун. Я в чем, кстати, хожу? Вот так
Sneaky,
вот.
sneaky. We're okay on Stimpaks. Medic supplies adequate. Are we being watched?
Так, это там идти. Дурацкие летающие.
Canyon 37. That's what the NCR calls the pass down there. It was the Khan's only escape, so we...
Так, ну мы
Standing
это
orders.
знаем в прошлый раз.
We radioed to...
По-моему, нельзя было слепо следовать приказам.
Maybe not. Maybe I wouldn't have either at one point. But that's why they train you. Break you down to your automatic. Anyway, I don't know why we're... I'd like to stay here.
Давай так и сделаем.
All right.
Так, все, нам надо идти.
Something's wrong. Easy target for grabbing slaves. I don't think...
Но это тоже. Ты, похоже, не удивлен. Чего мы ждем? Все, идем, бежим. Мне теперь спокойно можно убивать легионеров.
Uh-oh.
mine. Take this.
Is dealt with.
Грёбаный свет.
Time to
You have to
fight.
run. Need to get to the camp before they do.
Fighting over.
Кажется, еще кто-то. Все, Бун?
What is it?
А, там. Там типа еще? Ну давайте.
Ready, steady, fighting.
Да, меняй оружие!
Cessation of hostilities complete.
Что мы туда-сюда прыгаем? Мы что же тут были? Или не тут?
Christ. They put the graveyard here.
О, долго ж ты бежишь. Не-не-не. Нет. Псину. Еще где-то тут один.
Bad guys dealt with.
Так, Бун, ты там где? А ты мне почини, пожалуйста, оружие. Спасибо.
We made it through after all. Not sure what to make of that.
Почему ты не уверен?
Thought my time had come. For a minute there, everything made sense. I could feel the end coming.
Собирался
Was ready
умереть,
for
что ли?
it. Now, I'm back where I was.
Никто не судит и не наказывает тебя. Просто случаются всякие вещи. Так.
If that's how it is, there's not a lot of comfort in knowing it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about all this.
Ты не можешь изменить сделанного, но сожаления о прошлом могут помочь найти лучшую дорогу в будущем.
I guess they brought us here. One less Legion raiding party running loose now. Never a bad thing, you can take my word for that. Still feels like I'm living on borrowed time. But I don't see any reason not to take a lot more of those sons of bitches with me. You got a point. There's still some things I can do before all this is over.
Так, у Буна теперь есть бронежилет первой разведгруппы, созданный, чтобы помогать снайперу и его товарищам выжить в тяжелых условиях пустыни. Эта броня не повлияет на способность Буна переносить грузы. Ладно.
Yeah.
Хорошо, тут разобрались. Отлично. Мне бы тебя полечить. Ты как?
Who do you think is
Жить
cuter,
будешь.
Dr. Klein or Dr. Boros?
Жить будешь. Давайте за республику вернемся. Так, ну продолжим в следующий раз. Так что всем спасибо, всем пока, до новых встреч. С вами была Лау. Я думаю, что скоро будет финал.